Nobody expected Piers Morgan to do what he supposedly did on live television. Not his viewers, not his critics, and definitely not the team behind Meghan Markle's carefully controlled public image. But according to sources, in the middle of his broadcast, Piers didn't just rant about Meghan the way he usually does. This time, he came armed with what observers described as receipts. Photographs that were supposedly wiped from the internet years ago. Images that certain people supposedly worked very hard to hide forever. These images weren't from her royal days. They weren't from Hollywood red carpets either. They were supposedly from her Soho House days. Private parties, exclusive gatherings, and late-night events that Meghan herself has never wanted to discuss publicly. And when those supposed images flashed across the screen, people who saw them said one thing immediately. This is not the Meghan we were told about. Welcome to Royal Report Daily, your most trusted source for breaking royal news and exclusive investigations. Tonight we are pulling back the curtain on a story that has been building for years. The hidden social world that existed before the palace, before Harry, and before the fairy tale that the world was sold. And the questions it raises are more uncomfortable than anything we have covered before. Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Report Daily and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single update. For years, the public has been fed a very specific story, a sweet, simple fairy tale. Meghan Markle, the hard-working actress who somehow stumbled into royal life like destiny, chose her. The girl who said she grew up on a budget, worked her way into acting, and lived modestly even when Suits started paying her real money. The woman who wanted to help others, run a lifestyle blog, and focus on humanitarian work. It's a lovely story, easy to believe, easy to admire, but the supposed images tell a quieter, sharper story, one that has always lived in the background, but never quite reached the surface. Sources who claim they saw the photographs describe Meghan at private Soho House events, surrounded by wealthy and powerful men, not in a casual passing-by way, not in an accidental photobomb way, but positioned comfortably and naturally inside elite circles that most people will never enter in their entire lives. This isn't how regular actresses spend their evenings. This isn't how someone with Meghan's income level at the time gains access to members-only spaces where even household name celebrities are turned away at the door. Somewhere along the way, long before Harry, long before the palace, long before the global headlines, Meghan was in rooms where billionaires and power players gathered. Rooms that matched the lifestyle she lived, but not the lifestyle she ever explained. And that is where the contradiction begins. Because if the Meghan in those supposed photographs was already moving through these exclusive spaces years earlier, and if her public story quietly erased all of it, then the question becomes less about what she did and more about why she wanted everyone to forget it. Stay tuned to Royal Report Daily. We bring you the stories that matter. To understand the heart of this mystery, you have to understand what Soho House actually is. It is not a restaurant, not a hotel, not a simple social club. Soho House is a gate, and only a certain kind of person gets through it. These are members-only properties scattered across the world, each one guarded by a quiet set of unwritten rules that keep out anyone who might draw unwanted attention. The founder famously said they avoid giving membership to people who create drama, attract paparazzi, or stir media storms. Yet somehow, Meghan, then a cable actress with a modest fan base, had access to multiple Soho House locations in London, Toronto, New York, and beyond. Not just as an occasional visitor. According to Harry's own memoir, she called it her headquarters. She kept luggage there. She knew the staff by name. She moved through the buildings like someone who genuinely belonged. Even global icons like Kim Kardashian and Kobe Bryant were reportedly turned away from membership. And yet Meghan walked in with ease. With that single detail alone, the story begins to crack open. Soho House is not a place where you simply drop in. Someone has to vouch for you. Someone has to open the door. Someone has to say she gets access. And that single question, who opened the door for Meghan Markle, is what links the supposed photographs, the power circles, and the hidden past into one story. Because anyone who enters Soho House without enormous fame or independent wealth doesn't get in by chance. They get in because someone powerful wanted them there. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to Royal Report Daily for more exclusive investigations. Now we reach the part of the story where everything begins to make sense. The figure who connects all the dots. His name appears again and again in whispers and in photographs, always standing beside Meghan Markle like a shadow that never fades. Marcus Anderson. To understand Meghan's sudden rise into elite social circles, you have to understand Marcus. Because he wasn't just a friend. He wasn't just someone she happened to meet at a party. He was the global membership director of Soho House, the man who literally decided who entered those hidden rooms and who stayed locked outside forever. And somehow Meghan was always on the inside. Sources familiar with the network describe Marcus as the person who quietly managed access for the world's most powerful names. He opened doors for the chosen few. He arranged introductions. He decided which rising stars got exposure to billionaires and industry giants. It is a role that requires extraordinary trust, not from the public, but from the people who run the world behind the scenes. And Meghan didn't just know Marcus. He supposedly followed her from Los Angeles to Toronto to New York to London. City after city, Marcus appeared. Not in a casual just visiting way, but in a way that looked intentional, connected, and strategic. Observers note that friendships don't usually work like that. Executives with major global responsibilities don't uproot their professional lives just to stay close to an actress on a cable show, unless the relationship wasn't ordinary. Unless his role in her life wasn't simple friendship. And when you add the long-standing claim that Marcus was the person who introduced Meghan to Prince Harry, suddenly the pieces begin lining up in a very specific pattern. Because Meghan's rise wasn't fast. It wasn't chaotic. It was steady, placed, and guided. The kind of rise that simply does not happen alone. Don't miss a single update. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. But there's another layer to this story, one that stretches beyond Soho House and into an even quieter world. The world of private yachts, luxury gatherings, and wealthy men who prefer their social events far away from cameras and press. A man named Christopher Jones has entered this conversation, someone who, according to sources, claimed he worked the yacht circuit during the same period Meghan supposedly did. Their time in that environment, he said, overlapped. Now, to be completely clear, not every yacht story is scandalous. Some actresses accept invitations to network. Some go to make industry contacts. Some go simply because it is a chance to be seen in exclusive settings that could advance a career. But the reason these claims matter is because of the pattern. We have Meghan appearing in elite social circles before she was genuinely famous. Meghan having access to spaces far above her documented income level. Meghan supposedly photographed around wealthy older men. Meghan connected to a Soho House director who knew everyone in that world. Add the yacht circuit to that pattern and suddenly her social positioning before Harry looks less like luck and more like a calculated and deliberate climb. Some of the yacht photographs that circulated online were proven to be misidentified women. That is true and it is important. But the rumors never faded, because the network itself is real. And Meghan's documented connections to that world kept fueling questions. And when questions keep returning again and again across years, they usually return for a reason. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily and stay ahead of every royal development. Now we reach one of the most telling parts of this entire story. Meghan Markle is known for being extremely protective of her public image. She has sued newspapers. She has filed formal complaints against television hosts. She has demanded corrections, clarifications, and complete removals of stories she found objectionable. She does not let things slide. She does not allow unfavorable narratives to breathe unchallenged. It is one of the most consistent and documented patterns of her entire public life. And yet, according to sources, when Piers Morgan supposedly displayed those Soho House photographs on television, something unexpected happened. Silence. No denial. No statement. No lawyer letter. No threat of legal action. Nothing. For someone as litigious and image-conscious as Meghan, that silence was louder than any statement she could have possibly made. Because usually when a public figure knows something is false, they say so quickly and forcefully. They shut it down before it spreads. They challenge it legally if necessary. But when someone says nothing, it raises a completely different question. Is the silence a strategy to avoid drawing more attention? Or is it something more revealing? Is it the silence of someone who knows that fighting back would only direct more eyes toward something she never wanted exposed in the first place? This quiet, unexplained silence is where the story stops being about rumor and starts becoming something more serious, something more revealing. Because for the first time, a past she supposedly tried to erase had stepped out from the shadows. And this time, it was not so easy to put back. Hit that like button and subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. To understand the full context of Piers Morgan's involvement in this story, you have to go back to 2016, before any royal drama, before Oprah, before the documentaries and the podcasts and the tell-all memoir. Meghan Markle met Piers Morgan for a drink. A friendly chat. Nothing scandalous. Nothing unusual. They talked for over an hour. Piers believed they were forming a genuine professional connection, a real bond between two people in the public eye. But what happened next is what Piers has never forgiven. The very next evening, Meghan didn't just go out again. She went straight to Soho House, had dinner with Prince Harry, and then vanished from Piers Morgan's world forever. No message. No explanation. No thank you. Just complete silence. The kind of silence that says, I got what I needed from that meeting, and I have somewhere more important to be now. For most people, being ghosted is uncomfortable and annoying. For Piers Morgan, it became deeply personal. Because after that evening, things escalated with extraordinary speed. Meghan became global news. Her relationship with Harry went public. The palace confirmed the romance. And Piers realized he had been completely cut off the moment she met someone significantly more important. Then came the Oprah interview. Then came Piers's increasingly sharp public criticism. Then came the backlash, so intense that he walked off his own show live on television and ultimately lost his job. It didn't stop there. Meghan herself filed a report with ITV, which became part of the reason he never returned to that platform. So when people heard that Piers supposedly aired those photographs during a broadcast, they didn't see a random, unprovoked attack. They saw a man who has been waiting years for a moment like this. A man who felt genuinely betrayed, publicly humiliated, and systematically pushed out. Finally holding what he believed was proof that Meghan Markle wasn't the person she had always claimed to be. This wasn't just a broadcast segment. This was a score being settled, slowly, deliberately on live television. Royal Report Daily, bringing you the truth behind every royal headline. Once you place every piece on the table, the photographs, the access, the networks, the introductions, the silence, a very different picture begins to form. One that doesn't look accidental. One that doesn't look like fate or luck or fairy tale destiny. Sources who have followed Meghan's rise closely describe a pattern of careful observation and strategic positioning. Meghan grew up acting, studying characters, watching people, and some claim she used that same sharp observational skill to shape the exact persona she needed at every stage of her life. When she entered elite social circles, she adapted quickly. When she entered royal circles, she adapted again. Some observers have even claimed she studied Princess Diana's public behavior with deliberate attention. Her gestures, her emotional expressions, the specific way she connected with people in pain. Whether that specific claim is accurate or not, the broader pattern remains consistent across every environment she entered. She learned how to fit perfectly inside it, and then she moved on to the next room. And that is precisely why the supposed Soho House photographs caused such a stir. Because they hint that her story didn't begin with Harry, it didn't begin with the palace. Her climb may have started years earlier, inside a world she has never publicly acknowledged. A world she may have very deliberately tried to leave behind when the next chapter began. Don't miss a single update. Subscribe to Royal Report Daily right now. Every fairy tale has two sides. There is the polished version, the one written for the world to admire, full of light and hope and the language of destiny. And then there is the version that lives behind the curtain, the one shaped by choices, relationships, opportunities, and secrets that were never meant to be shared publicly. The story of Meghan Markle has always been told as the first version, the brave actress who found love with a prince, the outsider who stepped into royalty, the woman who challenged the system and reshaped the narrative on her own terms. But when those supposed photographs surfaced, even for a brief moment, the second version flickered into view. A version built long before Harry, a version crafted inside private rooms, exclusive networks, and quiet introductions made by a man whose entire professional purpose was controlling access to the most powerful people on the planet. A version supported by people the public has never heard of, in places she has never explained, during years she has never properly accounted for. And if those pieces of her past are real, if these circles were genuinely part of her world long before royalty, if her climb was guided by a network she never mentioned, then what else remains behind that curtain? What else was meant to stay hidden? What else is still waiting to be discovered? The fairy tale isn't over. Not by a long shot. But the stage lights are shifting. And the truth, whatever form it ultimately takes, is stepping forward. Piece by piece, photograph by photograph, question by unanswered question. That is all for today here at Royal Report Daily. If this investigation gave you new perspective on the hidden world behind Meghan Markle's public story, please hit that like button right now. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share this video with everyone who wants to understand what is really happening beneath the surface of this extraordinary royal story. Turn on your notifications so you are always the first to know when we publish our next exclusive report. Because the story of who Meghan Markle really was before the palace, and what she may have worked so hard to erase, is far from finished. And Royal Report Daily will be right here when the next piece falls into place. Stay informed, stay connected, and we will see you in our next report.